Well, if you've been waiting for some good news, you've got some good news. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, Florida State lands somebody from the transfer portal, as we are in the transfer portal tracker with senior recruiting analyst and senior transfer analyst Michael Langston here on Warchant TV. Hop aboard, everybody. Hit the like button as you climb into this pop-up video, as they used to say. I know Michael remembers those music channels. Michael,
Yeah.
good evening to you. This is a big moment for Florida State, a good move to start the week. What is National Signing Day week?
Yeah, big news. And I think after what they've gone through with the playoff snub and just things in general, the blunt news, all that stuff, they actually needed some good news. And certainly Marvin Jones Jr. committing to FSU today, per his Instagram. It's a really positive day. I felt, as I mentioned last night when we did the smash, I felt really good that something was going to pop this week. That's kind of the feeling I got when you see the kind of sliding around different ways, incognito and different things. You're trying to just soak it all in, and I think the way the visit was set up so quickly, I think that was a big deal, and that was kind of a tell sign that I feel like they want to get this done quick. He knows where he wants to be. He knows, and I think people, kind of family source had told me like, we're not going to mess this one up this time. We're going to make sure we get it right, and they did. And now you're seeing some fruits of the labor of what your 13-0 season did. It's like, when are we going to see the fruits of the labor? And then finally, you see the fruits of the labor of them, getting a guy to the level of Marvin Jones Jr.
Michael, just, obviously, if you're going to recruit a transfer candidate versus a high school player, it's a very different process.
Mm-hmm.
And for Marvin Jones Jr., I'm sure that, like you're talking about, successes on the football field set the tone for him to say yes to Florida State the second time around. But for those who are maybe new to the process and are just getting, acquainted with Warchant.com, Warchant TV, what is the process for Florida State like when they're talking to a transfer candidate versus a high school player? And how does an experience and a visit for a player like that look compared to when they're 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, the process for them when they start is they kind of have a board or a guy idea of, hey, if this guy pops and enters, we know we're going to go after. And then there's some guys where you have to, vet and do the background. Fortunately for FSU, that's why this thing went so fast. They knew the family so well. Odell's really close to all of them. Naturally, his dad played there, so, and they previously recruited him, so they kind of know kind of the mindset and the fit and the culture, and mainly the visit is more so to Marvin to feel, hey, this is a place that I definitely feel comfortable, and to position kind of that you're on the same page on the visit of, hey, this is how we envision you. What do you think? What do you like? And these are the ways we want to use it specifically. There was a really hard sell as far as kind of what they're going to do and how they want to utilize him. But like I said, it's really easy when you have somebody that you have a previous bond with. These visits on the portal visits are totally different than the high school ones. Sometimes they don't even last like 24 hours. It's all mainly focused on the football stuff. Now, kids that haven't been to FSU, like a Cam Ward or somebody like that, or TJ, you're doing stuff where you show them what the culture is. That's the extent of it. But for a guy like Marvin, it was more like being around the players, being around see what the plan is, and then go from there. It's very business like on when it comes to portal stuff. You don't hear much like, hey, here's my photo shoot, and here's me in uniform and all this photo shoot and glamour stuff. It's not a lot of glamour stuff. It's mainly business, football, see if the fit's there, see if both sides mesh of how they view each other as far as this business arrangement, and then go from there because it's very different than high school where there's more excitement and more glamour when it comes to this. But this with Marvin and guys from the portal, it's very business-like. We saw that when Brandon Fisk visited last year. We saw that when Pinterell Shipers, all these guys. It's just very straight to the point. There's not a lot of, hey, I want to be around this coach, see if I connect with him, see if this position that fits me, and to see if I feel good about these players when I'm around them. It's not so much, hey, the campus and stuff. I think that's kind of a bonus for a lot of these guys.
Michael, can it be contagious in the portal the way it is? It's seemingly with momentum. The term momentum is humongous, and a few days before the signing period. In your experience now, it's been a couple of years of this with the transfer portal being the way that it is. Can one impact the other? Can one impact the other, the transfer portal and the recruiting class?
Oh yeah, we've seen that many times that it happens that way, where FSU starts getting one, and then it starts flowing because kids see other top prospects are going there. We've seen that with Ole Miss, Louisville. Teams have done really well in regards to the portal, so I think it's definitely a contagious thing. Of yeah, each kid's going to make their own decision, but it influences you more when you see somebody else and you see them momentum building. Well, it looks like we lost Tom there for a minute
I'm
there,
here.
so.
I'm here. It's just I don't want anybody watching my cut screen. So go ahead, Michael. Keep continuing.
Okay, okay. Just make sure we're good. But yeah, I think it is contagious, especially for positions, because they're after also Dumius Johnson, a starting linebacker for Georgia that was in the portal. That's another guy I think they'll push really hard for. I think you'll see that move fast. Where I could see him visiting in early January. So I think there's a lot of stuff that can be contagious because these guys know great players. A lot of recruits and portal recruits understand that Marvin is a great player, and certainly it's contagious to help entice other guys. It's not going to be a decision maker, but it gives you momentum to kind of really get the ball rolling. Because as I said, when you get one, it seems there's a lot more coming. You hear a lot more coming, and it speeds up the process. As I told people last night in my wrap, I mean, I know you guys are impatient. You see Louisville getting like 6, 7 commits, and Ole Miss probably feels like 20 or whatever they're getting. But so I think fans get impatient, but I felt like there was some ones coming, in the next few weeks, and certainly Marvin got him off to a great start. It's a big commitment. I mean, there's no other words around it. Not just in talent, but also it's kind of a full circle type of thing, Tom, where they felt like they deserved to get him the first time. Like,
Yeah.
but they didn't have the product to back that up the first time. Now they have the product, and I think once they did that, the mom, everyone, we know Marvin Senior is sold before because he loves FSU, but everyone was sold this time around because of that product and believing in what Norvell's doing.
Yeah, sorry for the internet issues there, folks. My internet did not enter the portal, Garrett Pete. I can assure you I'm still here. So thank you, Michael, for answering that question.
Yep.
Yeah, last part before we bring in Corey Clark, who's going to give us a little bit of context in terms of, this legacy. This is a legacy commit. It's a big deal because Dad was breaking news pretty good at football. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But, Michael, do you think if Florida State had proven itself, and let's say that Marvin Jones Jr. was a senior in high school this year, that he never would have gone to Georgia, that because there was proof he would have been here the first time around?
I do. I think he would have been here at FSU, and I think that was kind of the hangnail on the whole recruitment was I think Marvin wanted to be here the first time. I think Marvin did. I think his mom was kind of like, I don't know about this, man. The product is not there, and so Georgia was already a sold product and set product, and I'm like, I think sometimes you need to just get a little fortunate where you get a second chance, and they got a second chance. And what I like about this one is it really because we haven't seen that like near the end of the season of FSU getting rewarded for what their product is and their culture and what they've done with players and development. I think this is the first sign of getting the reward. I think is justly deserved of what they've done on the field, and to get somebody like Marvin is a special talent and a need because we know they want edge guys. I don't think they're done at edge. I think they're going to add at least one more, maybe two if they feel like there's a guy that they can't pass on. So I think it's a major deal, and it's a major big win day for FSU.
So, Michael Langston, you obviously dip into the portal like everybody else here in terms of coverage, but there's a lot coming the next day or two with National Signing Day. For those who are just joining right now, don't know what warchant.com is, but they really cared about where Marvin Jones Jr. was coming. Let the folks know what's coming up for you on the website side at warchant.com over the next couple of days.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of stuff coming up. Tomorrow night we'll have some predictions of different guys in high school Some might surprise you, some might not, in a good way. But but there's we'll have that. I'll have a breakdown of. I'm going to try to do it later tonight, guys. When I can, I'm going to have a defensive end kind of guys I'm kind of focused on, and I might throw in some other ones, linebacker, and kind of portal names that I feel like are important to watch that I'll cover. So we'll have that coming up, and then we'll break down the next day or so, kind of where things stand with all their top prospects. More so focused on high school, all the different ones that I think they're extremely involved in, and so tons of stuff coming up, guys, as we get ready for that big Wednesday. But certainly we'll have all the targets covered, and I might even throw in a 2025 kind of 10 to watch later in the week after we get done with this all this stuff with signing day. But yeah, that's kind of some stuff that's coming up.
We appreciate your time, Michael Langston, senior recruiting analyst. Way to battle through the fiber internet stuff over here, and I know we'll be talking a bunch over the next day or two. So thank you, brother.
You got it, bud.
All right. Now it's Corey Clark's turn here, senior lead writer at Warchant.com and Warchant TV.
Corey, the main event, baby. That was my undercard.
Here we go. This has to be very near and dear to your heart on so many levels. I mean, you saw Dad play at the highest level here at Florida State. Obviously, the Georgia and the Florida State connection. This is a big moment for FSU. You've been begging for some momentum, buddy. Here it is.
Man, it's good news after 2 weeks of kind of misery, just in anger. I think anger is more the right word than misery, because you're still, the people watching this are still the fan of an undefeated football team. But yeah, going back to my childhood and my teenage years, Marvin Jones rings out. Like, I know we have a lot of younger viewers that I know probably know the name. They've seen the 55 hanging in Doak. They probably even know he was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame a couple years ago. But you don't grasp how good he was. He was incredible. I just tweeted it out a little while ago. He was a middle linebacker, Tom, an inside linebacker that finished 4th in the Heisman voting. That's how good Marvin Jones was. He was incredible. And he is a Nole through and through. His older brother Fred, played at Florida State in the mid-'80s, was on Mickey Andrews' first defense that he coordinated at Florida State. So it's really cool that you can go from Mickey to Marvin Sr., and now you're to Mike Norvell, and that Jones family has been there the whole time, along with was it Fred Jones, the defensive lineman, who was Marvin's nephew, Fred Jones's son, who played for Jimbo. So yeah, man, it's a really cool family connection, and I'm glad he's in Tallahassee.
So now Florida State bolsters a little bit. If you're just talking about the arms race for 2024, they get a little bit better on the defensive line, Corey. But Patrick Payton had said he was going to enter the portal, and then he pulled that tweet and deleted that tweet. If you get Payton and Jones and two of the guys that were in the rotation this year with Gilbert Edmond, Byron Turner, maybe a couple of more pieces that grow up and develop into the system, looks like Florida State's defensive line, at least on the edges, is starting to take a little bit of shape for next year, and then they got to do a little bit of work on the interior to round that out. This is an elite defensive line that you're trying to duplicate next year. Might not be possible, but this is a big way to help.
Well, this is the wild card, right? Like, Marvin Jones didn't do a whole lot at Georgia. He started one game. It was the SEC championship game. I think he had 4.5 tackles for loss this year. He had a couple of sacks in his career, didn't play much at all as a freshman at 22, but he was in that system for 2 years. And, quite honestly, Jermaine Johnson didn't do a whole lot at Georgia either. He had really good guys playing in front of him, just like Marvin Jones Jr. did. So he's the wild card, man. You are looking to see, okay, what does he look like unleashed? What does he look like in a 4-3? And where is he as good as people predicted and prognosticated he would be a couple of years ago? Because if he can be that guy, again, are you going to hit another home run? Are you going to go from Jermaine Johnson to Jared Verse to another first-round pick in the portal at defensive end? That's probably asking a lot. But if he can just be another, and I don't say this dismissively, if he can just be as good as Patrick Payton,
right? Well,
now you got a pretty darn good defensive end tandem, because right now, and we're all assuming Jared Verse is leaving. He hasn't announced it yet, but that's obviously the assumption. But with Patrick Payton and Marvin Jones Jr., those are two probable NFL players, maybe not first-round picks, but guys that can play and make plays at defensive end. And you're going to need that, because you're losing maybe the best defensive end in the country.
Corey, when's the last time you smiled about Florida State football? Was it that Saturday night in Charlotte?
Maybe a couple of the tweets I had at Herb Street made me smile. Other than that, though, it's been a minute. Yeah, no, it's probably been since Saturday night, man. And I've been saying this now for a few days. Like this fan base was in desperate need of good news. Like you knew it was coming, right? It's not like they were just not going to have a roster next year. You know this. You knew good news was coming, and you know more good news was coming. We just all got tired of waiting for it, and this is a great kickstart to portal season for Florida State. They have lost. I think it's 11 or 12 scholarship players in the portal so far. None that were starters. DJ Lundy was could have been a starter, but to now start getting it coming from the other side, where okay, now that you got these guys coming in, it's a very good first step to what should be, I don't know, man, 7 or 8, 6 or 7.
Yep.
Portal entries coming to Florida State in the next couple of weeks.
It's going to be a really busy time for Florida State, both in the high school ranks and in the portal ranks, and we've got a special for everybody there. New subscribers who want to take a look at what Warchant.com brings to the table, look at this. It is a special in honor of signing day, but you know what? You can celebrate for the portal reasons too. It doesn't matter. Look at this number, $54.99 for 1 year of Warchant.com coverage. The excellence of our coverage in terms of the high school ranks, the transfer portal, of course, award-winning coverage. Corey knows about it. Award-winning coverage of Florida State athletics. We're going to document even an Orange Bowl that feels a little bit more like a spring game. We're going to document all of it. Florida State coverage, how they build their roster for 2024. And Corey, I mean, I say tongue-in-cheek about part of this, but 12 days from now, when they do take the field in Miami, there are going to be some Noles that make important impressions on 2024 and that season. And this is going to be maybe their coming out party or the biggest opportunity they've had in the Garnet and Gold. But they're going to set the tone for what's coming next, what's coming in the next couple of years. And that's the opportunity before them against Georgia, the team that Marvin Jones just transferred from, on the 30th in Miami.
And you should get a detailed scouting report from Marvin Jones Jr. Who knows Georgia better than that guy? He knows the weak links of that defense. He can tell you guys where to attack. I think that we still don't know who all is going to play. Clearly, they're going to be down some guys. It will not be the team that was in Charlotte. That seems obvious. But it is a nice it like you phrased it. It's a spring game. It's a chance to evaluate what you do have coming back. And then it's really good experience. I don't care what the score is. I mean, that's not true. I do care what the score is, but it's really good experience for some of these underclassmen and backups to play that level of competition just to see what college, because so many of these guys that might be playing next year, they lose a ton of production, have not really produced in college, have not had their chance to shine at this level. They'll get a chance in the Orange Bowl to just get acclimated and experienced with that kind of competition, because look, Georgia is what Florida State is trying to be. And look, I'm not arguing that Georgia is a better team in 2023 than Florida State is, but nobody would argue that Georgia is the better program right now. They've two-time defending national champ. You want to have that consistency. You want to be as consistent as the Georgias and Alabamas and Ohio States. Well, this is how you do it. You get these young guys experience, and then when they go into Ireland in 2024 or playing another team from Georgia, they'll be more ready. They'll be more ready for the moment. And so that's what the great programs do. They sustain success. I do think no matter what happens in that game, I do think it's important to keep the it will be important for consistency's sake and sustainability to see some of these guys make plays, because they're going to have to next year, Tom. You're losing a lot of production.
Oh, a ton of it. Yeah, this is a unique circumstance in a lot of ways for Florida State, what the invitational committee did to them, and then obviously the situation with how top-heavy this roster is with either senior players or NFL talent.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot to be in, but we're going to document it, and Florida State will be better for it in 2024 with the experience, as Corey just said, on Saturday in the Orange Bowl.
Also, can I say something else real quick? Younger listeners, there's got to be some YouTube videos of Marvin Jones Sr. Go watch the guy at Florida State. Go watch like the 92 Florida game. The dude is incredible. It really is remarkable how good he was. He started as a freshman in the dynasty. He came in his first game was against East Carolina as a true freshman. He led the team in tackles. This was for a top 5 team in the country that was coming off back-to-back 10-win or 11-win seasons. For him he was so good so early that it defied belief. And then he ended up being, like I said, he finished 4th in the Heisman voting. He won the Butkus. He won the Lombardi. He was one of the most decorated college football players of all time. One of the, maybe, Tom, you could make the argument he is the best defensive player to ever play football at Florida State. College.
Right.
Obviously Deion, obviously Derek Brooks, Leroy Butler. Those are all Hall of Famers. He didn't have the pro careers that those guys did because he dealt with injuries and you had to play for the Jets. But he, in college, I would stack him up against any Florida State player that ever played. He was incredible.
We've got at least one colleague on staff here, Corey, that saw him play live that would agree with you, and probably
Yes.
2 or 3 that would agree with you that he was the best. And I would imagine he is the happiest person in Tallahassee.
Absolutely. How cool is that for him that his son is at Florida State?
The biggest smile in Tallahassee right now belongs to Marvin Jones Sr. because the legacy is here on campus. So a lot of coverage coming up on warchant.com, Warchant TV. There'll be a brand new Wake Up Warchant coming tomorrow with Corey and Aslan. Their thoughts on this breaking news. We've got the Jeff Cameron show coming up on Wednesday, but tomorrow's a little Seminole headlines action at 1 o'clock. See how I saved that?
And we get to watch practice tomorrow, so you'll get to you'll get to hear our updates and our observations from actually getting to watch a real live football practice again.
It's actual Florida State football practice access and news. It'll be, you know what? Those notes on who participated and who was with the 1s and 2s, they might not let us talk about 1s and 2s, but you'll be able to infer. That's coming up tomorrow live on the channel at 1 o'clock, and also live on Warchant TV tomorrow at 6 p.m. is a National Signing Day preview and predictions show. So we're setting the tone for Wednesday. Wednesday will be on the channel at 8 a.m. So, folks, if you have not signed up, either subscribe to this channel for free, hit the like button underneath this video, or gone to warchant.com. Once again, we got the signing day special for you on the way out. Half off for a year. You cannot beat it.
It's 15 cents a day. I did the math, Tom. It's 15 flipping cents a day. What are y'all waiting on?
Nobody knows how to push a sub quite like Corey Clark, and that's why we brought him in. It wasn't even for the historical perspective.
No,
it was to push
15 cents.
That $55 deal. But for Corey, my name is Tom. This has been a pleasure. Good news for Florida State. If you wanted a reason to exhale and say, all right, when is it going to end? Maybe it ends right here. Thanks to Michael Langston for lending context on the recruitment and the transfer recruitment as well. He's Corey. I'm Tom. This is on Warchant TV. We will talk to you all very, very soon on the channel. Don't leave without